How is everyone? Happy marathon weekend. My name is Stephen Davey. I'm the senior producer here. Welcome to our in-person sold-out crowd tonight and to our virtual audiences streaming on the internet. Welcome. And before we get started, just a couple of quick business notes. Please silence your phones. We're taping a podcast this evening, if you hadn't heard. And thanks to our partners at Brookline Booksmith, who have both Choosing to Run and The Longest Race available out in the lobby. Grab a copy of those. And Kara and Des are going to be signing copies after the podcast taping tonight. So who has Boston running fever? Anyone running on Monday? Raise your hand. Yes. Okay. You only have to compete with Des, so good luck. How about the 5K tomorrow? Anyone? Yeah? Good. Okay. I'll see you out there. We are in for a special treat tonight. Gracing the halls of WBUR today, 2 Olympians, 2 podium finishers at the Boston Marathon, including the 2018 champion. Give it up. Without a doubt, Des Linden and Kara Goucher are 2 of the greatest runners in United States history. Legends, really. They were competitors, now friends, and now hosts of Nobody Asked Us with Des and Kara. Later, Des and Kara are going to take some audience questions. Head to slido.com and enter the word podcast. We'll get to as many as we can. Now, please help me in welcoming Des Linden and Kara Goucher.
Laugh. And then all I can do is
then she did the Matrix move. She's like, oh. Wow, she's flexible.
Okay. Before we start tonight, we have a little film of Des's running a little bit. So I want you to intro this.
Okay. Well,
I'm setting you up.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. This is awesome to be here. Thank you to WBUR and Stephen, who's done a million things for us. TCS, a longtime sponsor now for the life of the pod, basically, which is fantastic. And my watch partner and now a partner for this episode, this live episode of the show, Koros. They're set up out in the lobby. Please swing by there afterwards. Check out their product. They are, making this happen for us along with WBUR. And we're going to kick off the show with basically where we left off in training. And so a little cut they did from Olympic trials prep, my last long run, a workout that maybe some of you do or maybe you'll do in your next build-up, but some behind-the-scenes training video with myself. So we'll check that out, and then we'll talk about where we're at now.
The long run is a staple of a marathon build. I think the saying is the long run puts the tiger in the cat. I'm Des Linden, 2-time Olympian in the marathon, 2018 Boston Marathon champion, and Koros athlete. Today, the workout is a long run with a little bit of marathon pace work. I do about 12 to 13 miles of just regular long run. I'll probably build into it and then try and hit marathon pace or marathon pace effort with 5-mile stretch in there. So it's simulating sort of what late miles in the marathon might feel like. I try to stay pretty flexible with the pre-run and pre-race nutrition. There's scenarios where you have to be flexible and you can't say like, I didn't get that specific kind of rice or that specific bagel and there goes my race. Sometimes life happens. I love data in general and I go into the training status pretty frequently along with just listening to my body. And so we're at maintaining status. So normally my training status is at optimized. Right now it's kind of dipped into the maintaining. I had a few little sick days, so I backed off a little bit. I do look at my heart rate zones. I use the Koros heart rate monitor because I need the accuracy. Having that reliable feedback when I come back to look at the apps is super helpful in tweaking training and moving forward. I think the mental energy of trying to hit marathon pace after an effort like this is one of the hardest things to kind of get comfortable with. I tend to struggle with this workout early in a build, and then I see it get progressively better. When I struggle in this workout, it's a really good reminder of like, this is the mental effort and fortitude that it's going to take to get through those tough miles in the marathon, and you can still gain a lot from it, even if you're not necessarily seeing the splits on your watch. Like, this is what the hard part of the race feels like. Let's stay engaged. Let's keep working.
All right, we're getting pretty close here. We're gonna head into marathon pace work. 5 miles would be great. 5:35, we can build into it. But so far, it's been a good solid run. Let's see what the legs are gonna give me for this hard section. All right, here we go.
I expect marathon pace to feel tough today. If you feel super easy running these, just do 4 instead of 5, because it means you're really fit and you don't need to do more work. I don't anticipate making that call. I think I'll need to do all 5, and I think they'll be pretty taxing. You know, that's kind of what we talked about as well. Like, a lot of this is just preparing you for that sort of mental state of when it's hard in the race, and can you work through it. And even if you don't hit the pace, like, you're still getting that mental side of it, and then you're obviously still getting a physical training effect as well.
It's getting warm out and it's windy, so I'm excited for the end. 5 miles were good. Fell asleep a little on number 4, but got right back on for 5. So I'll take it. I think it's like the value of the workout too, is like you hit a little patch and you think it's over, and you just gotta focus on small segments, get yourself back on pace, and you're good to go. Like, you pull yourself out of one of those ruts, you're like, oh, okay, it's not over just because I'm in a patch that's not great. And that's what the marathon's all about. Workouts in the books, and head back, hit recovery mode.
A couple weeks out from the goal race and had slipped to maintaining status, just with a couple sick days and some travel. Putting in the work the last week, and specifically today, has bumped me up into that optimized phase of training. And so it's exactly where I want to be. This workout is about having control of the pace, and marathon pace should be easy, but it never really feels that way. You can expect it to be difficult at first. I mean, it's a dramatic shift from a pretty comfortable pace to what you expect to be racing at. I think mentally it's hard because you know you're deep into a long run. What happens usually is you take about a quarter to a half mile where it feels really challenging, and then you're able to settle in and really lock into pace. If you can do this workout, you're gonna be primed for an awesome race day. It checks all the boxes: long run, marathon pace, pre-race fueling, in-race fueling, all of the things are incorporated. So if you can knock this one out and have a good one, you're gonna crush on race day. Be confident, the preparation is there. Have a blast.
I'm kind of annoyed with you. Did you see how she just clicked it to 5:30s 10 miles in? I'm like, can I just do 1?
You're going to do at least 3 tomorrow.
I'm doing 0 5:30s tomorrow. It's really impressive, and as your friend, I'm very proud of you, but I am like, what the heck? How can you do that still? You're so good. Anyway, okay, so this was leading into the trials.
Yeah, that was my last long run into the trials. Didn't hit that pace on race day, but it's
You
still a
weren't
good
that far
effort.
off.
Eh,
Nah, you weren't.
I think I would average like 5:38
Yeah.
something.
Oh,
5:40.
5:35 average.
But like 1
5:38.
second in the marathon, and you're like off by 26. So, you know, it adds up really
Listen,
quickly,
I used
right?
to be competitive. I get what you're
Okay.
saying, but now on this side, I'm
fair
just
enough.
impressed.
I'll stop arguing.
Okay, so we got a little seat. Like, that was a beautiful run. Was that
That's
just
great.
straight the whole way?
So I'm back.
Okay, so what have the last few weeks been like? If everybody listens to the pod, you know that Des is not a big time taperer, which is shocking to me because I was like, oh, I have to taper. But what's the last week been like?
I've definitely squeezed the taper this time. I'm very ready for this race. I think things got much better, like coming off of that workout, and then the trials race is obviously you go out and put everything into it, but if you can recover from it, you're obviously absorbing a lot of fitness. And so there was a big fitness gain from that race. And then everything has gone really, really well. The only thing that hasn't is just the mental fatigue. So I think I'm very, very fit. Like, before I got out here, I was like, I just want to get this done with. And I was really banking on getting out here, feeling the energy of the city, just seeing familiar and friendly faces, running along the Charles. And then this morning it was just piss and rain. And I was like, everyone's like, it's Des Linden weather.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
saw on social. It was like Des weather. I'm like,
this is it on Monday.
Damn it.
Yeah. If this is it on Monday, I'm not even leaving the room. But it's supposed to be like 72, so it's great, beautiful. I'm very excited. I did cut back the mileage because of that mental fatigue, and I'm fired up. I think that this race is just unlike anything else, and that's why we're here. That's why we have such a great audience, and it's what I think we're gonna dig into today.
We are.
Yeah.
So we're acting like we're professional and we know what we're going to do, but we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what clips we're going to see, but so now you're seeing like what really happens when we do this. But basically, we thought we have a group of people at the Boston Marathon. Obviously, you guys know what it is. You're going to be educated. You're going to be passionate. And we thought we'd dig into 3 years that were really important to us. 2009 was the first time I ran. 2011 is the first time we raced each other here. And 2018, when a 33-year drought ended. So yeah, basically we're going to talk about that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's start from the top.
Okay.
You made your Boston debut. Was your second marathon? So you ran New York, amazing debut, 3rd place on the podium. You're frustrated, right? Is that fair?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's frustrated.
So why did you pick Boston, and what did you think of it?
So after New York, I knew I wanted to run another marathon. And when I was looking at the different marathons, I just totally became obsessed with Boston. The history, I think, really drew me in. I read the book, probably a lot of you have, about the history of the Boston Marathon. And just, to have a sporting event in the United States that has that much history that's around running was really intriguing to me. And I just really wanted to be a part of the legacy of it. And I came out here to run the course a couple times and I loved it. New York felt a little scary. You're running across bridges, no sunlight touches your body because of all the buildings. And here is running past houses, running past schools. It just felt less daunting. And I just wanted it so bad.
What were the expectations coming in? I remember watching Flow Track back in the day, and they had, workout Wednesdays or whatever it was, and they came out and filmed one of your long runs, and there was so many people around you. There was obviously the people filming, your coaches out there, you probably had a physio, you had a pacer, and then the community was really into it too. You'd have dudes jump in and run with you. Obviously huge. People were very invested and interested in seeing how it was going to go. What was that expectation? Did you feel the pressure? What did it mean to you?
I do remember that long run because I had won the 3K at the Boston indoor meet the night before. And then the long run the next day was being filmed, so I couldn't phone it in. I had to actually run hard.
You could have.
I mean, I could have, but I was
They can write whatever they want on this.
That's true.
I'm not saying that Chorus did that. I'm just saying they could do whatever
before
they want.
GPS. So, I did feel a lot of pressure. And I mean, it's the first time that I ever publicly said I wanted something. I've always been oh, I just hope I have the best race, that I'm able to run to the best of my ability. That's what I normally would say. But I said I want to win Boston. And I said it I just like that, and it kind of took off, which was fine. Mm-hmm. But it was a new place for me to be. And I felt a lot of pressure. I felt like nothing would deliver but a win. Nothing would satisfy. And because you've run here so many times, and that was when we hadn't had an American winner at all, and definitely not a female winner in so long. I think it was maybe, 20 some years, because when you won it was 33 years. Mm-hmm. So it must have been.
Don't make me do math.
Yeah, 24 years, I think. And so I just felt it, and I felt like the community wanted it, not in a bad way, but they just wanted it, and I felt a lot of support, but that's the most pressure probably that I ever felt. And I felt a lot of pressure from my sponsor as well.
When you were on the course, did you notice that there was more interest? You don't have any comparison points, I guess, New York, but did you notice that energy? And how were things the first few miles with your competitors? Just take us through that, starting off phase? Did it meet your expectations?
Oh, it was awesome. I think we started off really slow, and later I read quotes from some of the other athletes in the race, and they kept expecting me to go. So we were running really slow. We were almost like stepping on top of each other. So the race went out very conservatively. I want to say we were on like 2:40 pace at halfway. And, you know, you just knew there were so many women, you knew someone was going to break it. But I did feel like I heard my name nonstop. I started wearing sunglasses after that race because during that race, I felt like I needed to acknowledge, thank you. Yeah, I feel it. And then afterwards, I was like, I can never do that again. I just need to, you know, zone out and put on the sunglasses. And even though I'm hearing you, not acknowledge it. But it was wonderful. It was great. And, you know, if you've read my book, it was good and it wasn't good. There was a lot going on. You know, I had some pretty bad things happen to me in the buildup from my coach, but I couldn't even think about that because I just wanted to deliver for everybody and win this race. And so I ran. You know, my coach wanted me to wait until Boylston before I took the lead. But I remember getting to 20 miles and there were still like 15 women. And I was like, I can't do this. And I just started to stretch out, and I felt better when I stretched out. And also, if you've read my book, I kind of started running like right around 5-minute pace. And someone from the media truck told me to be careful. And I don't have any regrets in racing except for that. I should have just not listened to this person and just run what my body felt. But yeah, I mean, I ended up not winning. Ended up getting third. And it just was a really, I hate to say it because it's like such a great community, but it was a really painful experience for me.
What were the last couple, like when did the break happen, and when did you feel like it slipped away? Like when did you feel like this isn't gonna happen?
Right before Hereford, I remember being like, I don't have it. I thought I was gonna have more pop in my legs and be able to kick away. And I remember I was like, maybe I'm hot. So I threw off my gloves. As like a last ditch effort to try to like get some airflow or something. And I never gave up. Yeah. Like I remember I was running down Boylston and I moved to the outside in case they started to back off, they wouldn't know that I was there, but I never closed back on them. They only extended it. I think I was about 8 seconds behind.
We'll find out in just a second. So for me, I remember that race. I remember when you signed up for it. I was you and Ryan Hall and Meb, and it was just such an amazing American field. And I remember Ryan and I were at home a couple days before, and I was like, I think an American's going to win it. And he's like, I think so too. Like, I don't know if it's going to be Ryan. I don't know if it's Kara. Maybe Brian Sell has the day. Like, it's so intriguing. So we were like, we have to watch history. This is it. And so we got in the car, we drove out, watched the race. We were at the finishing stretch on Boylston. And just from my perspective and someone who watched your career and admired your career, I always thought you were in it. I always thought you had that chance. And I think, you know, nobody watching that day felt like you gave up by any means. So it's great to hear you say that, but you know, you could have fooled us all because you could tell you ran with your entire heart. And you know, I hope that you look back on it with fresh eyes and know that you inspired so many people, and just so that we can let everyone kind of relive this moment. And I hate to like do the fresh take on you, like the fresh take of how you feel now, but we're gonna watch that 2009 finishing stretch, and then we'll just chat it out.
Okay. I agreed to this. I may not be ready for it, but I agree. This course is mine, I said to myself. With a mile to go, Koskai and Tune passed me. I remember looking down at my legs and thinking, what are you doing? It's time to go. I needed to change something, anything, and wake my body up. I tore off the football gloves Alberto had given me. Koskai and Tune were running straight down the middle of the street ahead of me. Because the crowd was so loud, I wondered if I could sneak past them on the outside without them hearing me coming. That didn't happen. They just got further and further ahead. I pushed with all I had to try and catch them, to no avail. I finished in third place with a time of 2 hours, 32 minutes, 25 seconds. Adam met me at the finish line. I was crying uncontrollably, in a way I never had before, in a way I didn't even know I was capable of.
I hope you see that and you just recognize that you put everything into it and that people were so inspired by that moment. You know, I think there was... there was so much baggage and other things going on for you in that moment that we didn't know about, and we were already so incredibly proud and moved by that. And then to hear the story, to hear your words from the longest race over the top of that CBS footage, I think it all pulls it together. And I know it's like emotional in all these different ways, but I hope that you can look at that and just be really, really proud. And if not today, you know, somewhere down the line.
Thank you. Isn't she the best? I knew that we were going to watch it tonight.
I know.
I've never watched it, so it's a lot to take in, and there was a lot going on, but I am really proud.
Good. Because we have to talk about how you kept coming back and the things that you accomplished after that as well, and the inspiration and the American group that you were kind of the catalyst for. You know, I think we watched a number of really great American women take on Boston after that, and
Let's go there.
Saw things snowball. so we'll pivot. Okay.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And thanks everyone for, I don't know. I'm like really emotional right now. Okay, so I ran that. Des was there. She ran it in 07. And so your second Boston was in 2011.
Correct.
Which was also my second Boston. I had my child 6.5 months before that race, but I knew who you were because when I was pregnant, I saw you ran Chicago, correct?
So.
And you ran like 2:26. This is pre-Super Shoes era. I was like, wow, she's good. She's going to be someone to definitely pay attention to. And I kind of love that we overlapped at that race because for you, it was really an arrival moment. And for me, it was a return. But we kind of got to have that together. And one of the things I loved is that we both, in both of our books, without knowing each other, discussed the moment when you passed me.
Yeah.
And I talked about it as it was such a classy and graceful thing that you gave me encouragement. And I can't remember what you said. You were like, I passed her, she looked like crap or something. I'm just kidding. You didn't say that. It was really nice.
We have the receipts. They're in the books.
She's such a jerk. But that was a race where I really respected you as a competitor because I have been in races where there's open road and I get an elbow and I'm like, really? Yeah. And you didn't do that. And not only that, you were like, come with me, eyes up. You know, you were really encouraging. So we have some photos from this race. But before we go to the photos, you had run Boston. You had run the Olympic trials. You had run Boston. You had run Chicago. Why did you want to come back to Boston?
I mean, it's just great. The history of it is phenomenal. Honestly, watching so many people take a swing at trying to win and end the drought was something that just captured me. And then, I mean, it was watching Dina take a crack at it, and it was the Nor'easter year. That was 2007. That was my debut, and just how she was received by the community. The expectations I thought were so cool, like to be the person who could get it done and to have something a little bit more to be running for. I loved that. And then obviously watching you, the year you finished third, like it got a little bit closer. And there was a moment where it was like, so much respect, of course. We were on the 2009 World Championship team together. Yeah. I put a question mark. And I was like, hey, like I'm pretty close. This is such a great race for me. And Kara, you know, she's a little off her game here, but I'm closing the gap. And I watched that race and, you know, it was obviously the respect remains, but also it was like, wait, why can't that be me? Why can't I do that? And so, you know, the American side of it for sure. And then you get out here in the course and the history and the people and all of this stuff that we just continually talk about.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's see the first photo. So where is this in the race? Do you know? Do you see Des in the middle there? And then I look like a giant 8-foot-tall woman.
That's early because
it's gotta be
that's
early.
Huge, and there's a bombing downhill, and I'm still in it.
Yeah, so that's what's interesting. When we saw this earlier, I was like, wait, I never thought we were together because the pack went out and then Kim Smith went. And then there was a pack that went with her, but not totally. And I went with that pack and you stayed back. And then, but then when you went by me, it was like, but so this had to be pretty early on.
So there's a photo that's not in this little album for us that was around 15K, where it had separated into Kim Smith, not even in the screen, the photo, because she was on the screen, but no one else was. And then the second group where you were, and then like you can see me way back on the and it looks like it looks like I missed the start. Right? So it's a very strategic move. You guys are just going way too fast. Kim Smith was going way too fast. The chase group, in my opinion, was going for me anyhow, way too fast. But that's racing. I mean, it's not, you don't get the pacer.
I mean, we were going too fast, right?
Yeah.
I think we all started to panic that she was going to run away with it. Like, I think she went and there was kind of this feeling of that's too fast. But then she started to put on this huge distance. Like she was getting further and further. And I think you could feel like I'm competing against this woman, but we could feel like, oh my gosh, are we going to let her just take it? Right. So it seemed like we kind of started to work like, okay, we have to just pick it up and close that gap. And you were like, yeah, no, that's still too fast.
Like, we got time.
So you were smart, but let's see the next one.
This is way later.
This is way later, but it's just now 4 of you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm somewhere in the back in 5th, but this is the 4 of you. And what is going through your mind right now? Like, are you thinking about the finish and that you could win, or are you just in the stride you're in right now?
I think this is probably where I started to believe. You know, there was the moment where Kim Smith was so far ahead, and I thought, I'll catch some of these folks. Some of them will come back. But Kim Smith there's got to be a catastrophe. And there was. You know, at the halfway point, she was on the side of the road. She had to drop out with a calf injury. And it was like, okay, like there's a shot, but there's still this big group in front of me. And then I believe in the pre-race press conference, I said, if I'm with the group at 20, I think I can contend to win. And so it was like almost right on the plan, like right on script. At 20, I worked myself into the group and was really competing. And I think we have dropped, I think it was a group of 5 around 20. This is Brookline, and we had dropped 1 more out of that group. So that's when I started to believe that maybe I could make it happen. I was certainly just like, let's race.
And why did you believe that if you were there at 20, you could win? What was it about the course or your training that made you think like, no, if I'm there at 20, I have a shot?
I always felt that I could close the last 6 miles better than anyone. Just particularly.
I felt it. It's real.
Particularly how I raced early and being so far behind, you know, at 15K and being like, okay, I've gotten to this point far more efficiently and fuel economy and all of those things better than anyone else. And I can race from here in. And again, it was like, why not? Why not me?
I love that. Okay, let's see some more Des. You're on Boylston now. And this is when you're battling, right? There's a little bit of back and forth down the home stretch here.
I look like, so can't we just be done?
You're about to win Boston.
Can't we just be done? Why can't the finish be in 5 steps? Yeah, no, that was on Boylston, and I was very tired. And yeah, that's like every like the devil and the angel on your shoulder, and then the angel's like, I'm gonna take a nap, and it's like, just quit. Like, this hurts. And then this one's like, oh, okay, I'm a little rested. Maybe try one more time. That's the emotions I have. It's my internal dialogue.
I need someone to sketch that. I'll pay you.
Eat the cake.
Okay, let's see the next one. I mean, right now.
Yeah. So
tell us.
Yeah.
What does this feel like?
So I love that you had this in your book, because, you know, it's like the right side of the road is where the winner goes, and the left side, they start pushing everyone else so that you're not in their frame. Like, give her moment. And I knew, like, so close to the finish line, I was like, I'm not gonna win. I need to be out of the frame. I was like, I need to go to the other side of the road. So someone was like, why did you finish over there? I was like, well, I knew I wasn't gonna win. Like, she was literally on the tape. And so that's probably the moment in my mind where it's like, okay, it's actually over. I cannot win this. And yeah, it's tough.
I have a question for you, but show us the next one. Okay, talk to us about this. And this, I find this so fascinating because I know you believed you could win. I'm not trying to be like that girl. But like a lot of people were shocked by your performance and thought it was so amazing. And you were devastated. Tell me about like, what is this feeling right now where you come so close to being the one to end the curse, to win, and it was right there and you didn't get it, but you laid it all out there.
Yeah, I think we talked about this when we were looking at these. It's like, you know what word is coming out of my mouth.
Right? We all do.
So that's it. That's that. No, I mean, I think it's all the visualization and the belief that goes into it. We talk about this a lot on the pod, where it's like you have to be 100% committed. You have to be all in. You can't have that little seed of doubt. Like, then that gets louder and louder if you ever let it in. And I think, that I believed all the way through until that last photo right before this, where it was like, not just for the day, but for months.
Yes.
And I could picture it and I could taste it and I could feel it and I could smell it and all of the things of what that would look like. And this is like, not today.
I think that's such an important point, because if you don't believe and you're not all in, you're not going to win.
Right.
And so that's why it is so devastating when it doesn't happen. Because if you don't make yourself that vulnerable, if you don't want it that much, it has to mean everything. It has to be devastating, because otherwise the doubt's too easy.
Right.
And that's why I think like it was so crushing for me, and I can see it right here, how crushing it is for you. But like, you can't win it if you don't have that.
Yeah. I mean, you just doesn't work. I think, yeah, you nailed it. I don't know what else to add. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, well now here's a happy photo. Oh, just kidding. I thought this was going to be the other one. Okay. I forgot about this one.
This is great.
Oh, this is me running in. Okay, this is me.
How are you feeling at this? Is on Boylston. How are you
I
feeling?
think I caught one or two people.
Yeah,
and
you
it was
ran.
really like, I was hurting, right? Like
Yes,
I had a
that's what-
baby.
yeah.
I didn't have the fitness I had in the past, but I had put together a really good training block. But I'm physically like at my limit. And I'm like, you raced me up to know this is the be done. And I'm in the be done phase, just trying to get across the line. So we can go to the next one.
This is a happy one.
This sort of
This
one.
numbers,
This is funny. We were
come
talking
on.
about this earlier, and I was very pleased with this race. That was a personal best for me.
Yeah.
By like a minute. And and I thought, and I thought, wow, like give me another 6 months and I'm really going to be there. Like I'm going to be with Des, I mean, I didn't know yet what place you got, but I was really like, in 6 months, I'll be there. And then if you read my book, you find out that my coach was like, well, you're still fat and whatever. But at this moment, I was proud of how I finished. And I am still proud. I thought that was a good effort. So now is the happy photo. Look at that little chubby baby. So he was super cute, and he got more attention than me, which was great.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that, for a comeback story from how quickly the turnaround was, that was incredible. The time's still incredible. And we talked about how the race sort of unfolded. And, I think there was a group of 5 at 21. I don't know exactly where you were when we crossed paths, but you worked through a lot of people, and that was 5th in that race. I don't mean this is like a negative. This is just to tell you how great that race was. Obviously, Caroline Kalel wins in 2011. In 2012, Sharon Cherub won, who was 3rd here. I think 15, Caroline Rotich won, who was 4th here. And then 18, I won, who was 2nd here. So 4 of the top 5 that year would go on to win the Boston Marathon, just like out of opportunities almost. That was a really great field.
It was a really good field. And I was really happy for you. I felt like you really put your stake in the ground and no one was not going to take you seriously moving forward. And I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but we went to like an after party.
I do.
And we talked a little bit, and then I told my family, she's so cool. And so then they started to love you.
I'm always a hit at an after party.
Well, this is true. This is true. So obviously we're going to talk about 2018, but I want to go back up to 2011 because you've said this to me and it was really interesting. What do you think would have happened had you won that day in 2011?
I'm glad I don't have to think about that much, but when I do think about it, I think it would have been like the end of my career, to be honest. I think I would have been totally content with that. Maybe tried to, like, had I made the Olympic team and then just been like, I'm good. I feel like I've gotten everything out of this sport that I could want. And the other side of it too, we talk about the business aspect of the sport a lot. Like, I think it would have been like the saddest winner's paycheck ever. Like, exposure, paycheck, like it wouldn't have matched what it could be and what it should be for athletes who bring that much attention to this race. And I think it opened my eyes to, like, hey, I need to move a lot of things to make sure if I have that moment again, or if I do break a tape, like, I'm compensated accordingly and to the right, value, bring it the right value. And so I was able to use that in a lot of different ways to motivate me and kind of improve the trajectory of the rest of my career. So it was really hard, but I think mentally it was like, hey, I backed up what I believed in myself, not only what I believe internally, but what I've said out loud, and now other people are buying into that too. And yeah, I'm going to learn a lot from this, and I can be in the mix for a long time, was kind of the thought process at the time.
So we all know you come back in 2018. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it. But 2011 to 2018 is not this linear line. You make the Olympic team, but then you get really badly injured. You have to sit on the sidelines, although that's when my family really fell in love with you because you talked to Colt or something
Colt's
in 2013.
We got it back, besties.
You guys are besties.
I'm like, hey, let's pick a Margot. We just planted the seed right then.
But you had to watch from the sidelines. 2014, you're kind of building your way back. You're in that race, which has been getting some press lately. Did you run it? Did you win the other years? Did you run it? You didn't run it in 16 because you made the Olympic team. Did you run it in 15?
15, it was rainy.
Okay.
17.
Jazz weather.
Yeah. Right. Please not a Monday. 17, 18.
So you ran it in 17.
I think so.
Yeah. So it wasn't like you learned all this from your second attempt and then the next year you just came back and knocked it out of the park. There was like a lot of injuries and disappointments and building yourself back up in between. It's fascinating to me that 2018 is the year that you did it because it was not an easy year. Things were not flowing for you. You didn't feel necessarily supported in the group you were in. I mean, I found that, if you guys read her book, like, I found that fascinating, like that little peek behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. And so talk to us a little bit about what it was like coming into it. Just pretend like we don't know because it's such a good story. And just tell us like what it was like in the lead up to it and where your head was at as you came into the 2018 Boston Marathon.
Yeah, it was definitely different than any other time I had prepared for this race. And like physically, I was coming from a different spot. Like I took a really long break prior to getting ready to it. At 2017, I was like, I'm the fittest I've ever been. This is the year. If it's ever going to happen, this is the year. And we talk about super shoes a lot. And I think that was just like a very pivotal moment in the sport that happened to set like the perfect storm for me where it kind of broke my heart. And I didn't even realize that there was a different playing field going on. So took some time off after that, and then had some health stuff that kind of spiked during that time as well. So it was all of these things that were kind of going poorly, but I love this race. I got the invitation to the race, which is a really great gesture from Mary-Kate Shea, the elite athlete coordinator. And, it was like she literally bought into me. It's like, I still believe, here's this offer, please come back. Don't give up. And, I didn't know if I would have time to do it right, but I was like, the gesture meant everything. I was going to try. And also it was the flip side of it, is like, this could be the last time I do this. So I'm going to take it and do the best I can. And if it doesn't work out, then I just don't take any more invitations. So I think all of that to say the expectations from myself were really low. It was just like, go and train, do what you can do, stop looking at the Koros watch so much, and start using like just go by feel a little bit more. And I think everything just became a lot more relaxed. Like you don't have to force this thing to happen. Just go and have fun. And then we got, that terrible weather.
Yeah, tell us about that. As the days were leading up and the weather started to just get terrible, what were you thinking?
I didn't know. Like the weather changes all the time here. So I didn't really even pack that well, to be honest. Like I just threw everything in. So many things were like lucky coincidences. Like you have to if you win, you pack a kit beforehand. So like if you're at the finish line and it's cold or you want a certain sponsor gear, you put it in a bag a day before, days before, and you turn it in. So that was like my better rain jacket. It's like, whatever, take that, right? And then I had the canopy, which is a really great jacket as well, but, it wasn't like a rain jacket.
Yeah.
So there's all these strange coincidences. And, I got really lucky with a lot of things, but I didn't even go outside the day before the race. So I wasn't even aware, because I was like, I'm not going to run today. It's going to be whatever. I'll run tomorrow. I'm not gonna win. Here's a jacket, whatever. And even down to like my fluids, the water bottles, like we're so particular. This is my mix. This is the proportion. Like I was like, I'm just gonna put water in them. I'm not gonna take them anyways. Like I don't need fueling. And then I was like, you know what? Like I should put the regular stuff in there. And that was the first time that I was like, well, what if I do finish? Like I'll just put the regular stuff in there. And then, ironically, it was very, very late in the evening. Ryan came in and was like, have you seen the weather? And I was like, no. He's like, it's so good for you. It's so perfect. I'm like, I've already done all these terrible things.
Feel like, okay, maybe I should have a chance. Like, I'm just trying to imagine, because you don't quit on anything. So the thought of you being like, I don't even know if I'm going to finish this. Like, I know you're telling the truth, but I'm like, things had to be bad. Because that's just not your personality. You don't quit. And so were you thinking like, well, this is what I'll say when I drop out? Or were you just like, I'll just see how far I can go?
You messaged me, because you always send me like a
I know, I love
before
you.
races. And you're like, you said a very nice message. And I like typed it out. I was like, man, not going to be my day. Probably going to drop out. Like I had it and I was like, delete, don't put that out there. Like just go through the things that you need to do. It was like get to halfway and then make decisions from there. Like that was the goal. Get to halfway and then start making decisions from there. So, and it was literally like, okay, like, should we find a brunch spot? Who's got great Bloody Marys? Like, am I going to take an Uber? Or are you going to come to me? And then do we want like eggs or pancakes? That was where my mind was.
Okay. Wild. So you're on and by the way, that was the most loaded American women's field that has ever lined up at the Boston Marathon. There was you, Molly Huddle, Shalane Flanagan. I think that Jordan Hasay dropped out maybe the night before, but she was supposed to be there. Yeah. Sarah Hall, was she there? Or maybe she got injured right before. I'm not doing it justice, but there was everybody, I felt like, but myself was there. I'm serious. It was like amazing field. And that's why I wrote this blog that I thought someone was going to win, because that's what it takes. It takes everyone going, not just one person going or two people going. It takes all of the best people going to flood the field to win. And so I felt like someone was going to win. But then when I was watching the footage, I was like, what is this? So tell us, like on that bus ride over, what were you thinking as the bus is just getting thrashed?
It is so funny. Like it's just such a funny mood on those buses. Like we left under an overpass or parking garage, so like you don't really know what's going on. And then we got out into the storm, and like the Canadians are just so Canadian. They're like, well, at least there's no accumulation. There's no ice on the road. It's gonna be fine. But you could tell everyone was so nervous. Like they said it like I think it was Reed Coolsat or something. He was like joking, but everyone was just like. Yeah, it did not go over well. Everyone was so tense. It was actually really funny, and I think it was, like the conversation I had with Ryan the night before. He's like, "This is so great. Like, this is perfect for you. And that's like, I think was a really exciting moment for me where I'm like, oh, could be good.
So talk to us about the first half marathon. How were you feeling? What were you thinking? We know about the potty stop, but tell us about it anyway.
Sure. a lot of it's in the book, and I probably am going to do it wrong up here because I haven't thought about it. Once I got on the page for the book, I was like, never again. I can dump this from my brain. But yeah, the first 6 miles, I was like, this is way too fast. It kind of got real around 6, and I was like, this is way too fast. Like, I'm just going to like stay back and stop at half, and like, so I can drop out. Everyone's going to drop out today. This is fine. And then it like regrouped, and it was like, okay, well, I'll just have people to run with for a while. There was a point where I told Shalane, hey, I'm probably going to drop out today. And she was like very kind. She grabbed my shoulder, like, are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm like, no, just this sucks. Like, this is not great. She was like, okay. Like, I was like, if you need anything, like, just, let me know. Like, I'd block wind for her, like pace or whatever she needed. Again, it's like, keep the numbers together. She was coming off that New York win. Like, give her the best shot possible to try and come back and do the double. That would have been awesome. And whatever, we had that moment early on, and then around halfway, I think she kind of like found me in the pack, and she's like, hey, like, I got to use the bathroom. Do you think I should stop? And those things don't usually get better. Right. She go. Like the rock tumbler. Yeah.
It's tumbling.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, just like, go. It's going to be like, there's no reason to take off. Like, tactically, it made no sense for anyone to go. There's still way too much running left into the headwind. So I was like, it'll be slow enough. I'll go to the front and slow it down if I have to. She's like, okay. She takes off, and I think it was Daska who saw her take off, and it was like, boom, she's gone. I'm like, oh, I look like such a liar. I felt so bad. I was like, can I get to the front, slow it down? Then I was like, this is still like terribly tactically horrible. Like, it's not, it's a terrible plan. So I was just like, I'll cut it in half so she comes out of the bathroom and can catch me for a little bit, and then we can work together and catch the pack. And that's really, like, in general, how you want to cover most big moves over the marathon. Like, you have the time to just make a hard effort to cover half of it and then slowly chip away at the rest of it. And I was like, well, we'll do that and get back together and be back in the pack. And so that was for the first half. Do you want me to keep going?
Kinda. I mean, I want to know, I was watching it from home, and when you took the lead, I was like hyperventilating because you still had a ways to go. And also, that's just not Des Linden's style. And I want to know, like, were you conscious that you were taking the lead? Were you like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna drive now. Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, like in the Newton Hills, I was running with Gladys Cheshire, and she really wanted to be the aggressor. Like, we'd go back and forth, and like every time I would pass her, she would just like make a big move and go right past me. I'm like, that's totally fine. You can lead. And then we're in the Newton Hills. I was like, this is so cool. Like, I could maybe finish second today. Like, this is not what I expected. And then you could start seeing Daska getting closer and closer. And so I think Cheshire passed her first, and I was just close enough behind her. And I knew that section of the course. I mean, I knew it better than anyone in that field that day. And so I was like, well, I know how to run in from here, and I want to test her after we'd gone through the Newton Hills. It's just like, I'm just going to pass her, and if she's feeling good, she's going to do exactly what she did the last 4 miles, which is respond right away, cover the move, and push, and then I can just tuck in behind her for as long as I need to. And so that was it. That was the move. I was just like, I just want to see like what she's got, and she didn't respond.
Were you shocked?
I was shocked.
You were just like, that's it. Now I'm leading the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, and then I was leading it in fear because I'm like, well,
you can't hear anyone coming,
and you can't look back. Like, you know what I've tried to do before? Because they have the lead vehicles, like, use the rear view mirrors. Can't see those.
You can't.
In those either.
Doesn't work.
They're too far ahead.
Doesn't work.
So I didn't look back, but I was afraid.
I love
I was
that.
doing all those things.
Okay, do you have anything else you want to say before we roll the next and last and most amazing footage?
Yeah, it was, people always ask, like, when did you know? And, like I said, I was running in fear from that moment, and it was like, the wheels are going to fall off. The wheels are going to fall off. The wheels are going to fall off. You go into that underpass, and there's a K to go, and I remember that from 2011. It was like, I always wish I'd run this uphill coming out a little bit harder because I think I could have won it by attacking there. So I was thinking very strategically and like, I know how to race this. I'm ready. And so it was really, really cool to take lessons from 2007 through 2017 and like have all these little pieces come together for a moment.
Roll it.
Left on Boylston. Boylston suddenly seems enormously wide to me, probably because I'm alone on the road, the center of attention. I'm inside a rarefied space, an outsider no more. I let a smile creep halfway across my face. I can't help it. This is beyond absurd. Let's fucking go. I charge to the right side of the road, the winner's lane, swiping water away from my eyes. I pass the Lennox Hotel, where my legs seized up on me in 2011, and think, damn, that's close to the finish line. Race staff line the finish chute, waving me in. I hear the public address announcer's voice booming from the loudspeaker. And here comes your 2018 Boston Marathon champion, Desiree Linden. As soon as I break the tape, I instinctively bring my hands to my mouth in a universal human reaction to shock. And also because I desperately need to warm my frozen fingers.
That day was so important for you, obviously, because you are forever the Boston Marathon champion, but it was so important to so many of us, and even for me personally, to see you get it done. You know, like there was this desperation. I remember when I ran with Shalane, her first time ever running it in 2013, she was waiting for me at the finish line crying. Like, I think she got fourth. You know, that feeling of like, I know I can do it. I know we can do it. And it was just so awesome. I mean, that gave me chills. I don't think it ever won't. And it's not me, it's you. But it meant so much to all of us. It was just huge.
Well, I think that's what's been cool about this episode, this pod, this awesome production that WBUR has done, is that we've pulled together stories from so many years. And it's like, yes, there's this moment, this is when the drought ended, but these are the things and the moments and the people that led to it. You know, it was a win for American women's distance running, and now we're seeing the result of that. And like, the depth is insane. There's so many great players. We're gonna have an awesome Olympic team, some amazing runners on Monday, and you know, it starts with the Jonies and the Dinas and the Karas and the Shalanes, and it just grows. And it's cool to kind of piece it all together and see it here.
It's cool.
Should we do a top 5?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so
Not yet. We're going to
Okay.
do the top 5.
we're
Lollipop.
gonna do the. Just kidding. Okay, well, first, before we do the top 5, I just want to say Olipop sponsors the top 5. They have for a while, and they've come on in a big way recently. They're going to be supporting us for a number of top 5s throughout the year, and they've obviously supplied product. We encourage you to use our affiliate link, which we'll get up eventually.
Sometime.
And not because we get a kickback, which we do, which is hooray, but more importantly, it shows that people are listening and they're interested and they're supporting.
Team Root Beer.
Thank you.
Want you to?
I do. So, I just want
I'm
to
good
say
with
with 2, these are, the thing about these is they have a lot of fiber, which we
Yeah.
don't always get. So if you're racing, don't have too many Olipop.
Yeah.
All right, you want to dial that down. But let's do a top 5. You want to start? You want me to start?
You can start.
Shoot.
Okay. Okay. I'll start then. Fine. Number 5 is this room right now, which should probably be number 1. But this is pretty cool for a couple of girls that over social media were like, we should start a podcast. So cheers to you.
Olipop number 1. That's it. I'm gonna give my top 5 this week to Chris McClung. who is our producer, sound
We can
guy,
give him that title.
whatever he wants to be. He does it all. We sit here and chit chat, but he makes all the magic happen with the audio, putting them out on time. And honestly, you guys, one of the best things about the show is the show notes. I
we
read
have
them
nothing to do with it.
every week. He puts those together, and I die laughing, and I just send him like the skull face because I'm dead. Just like, so read those, and if you see Chris around, tell him thanks. He's in the top 5.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to say for another one of mine that I'm trying to race my son's time tomorrow. Confession, I trained for 8 weeks and I took 2 of those weeks completely off. So it's probably not going to happen, but it has been so fun to have a goal. And so it's kind of got me thinking like, submit your next goals for me. Remember, crippled, retired, but it's been really, really fun. And I'm super excited to destroy Colt tomorrow morning.
Hashtag. All right, I'm gonna latch onto that and say the 5Kers in general, because you guys are gonna get up early, you're gonna run a short race, which is ridiculously hard, and most of you are probably support crew for the marathoners, so fitting that in with all the other stuff involved, hats off to you. And even if you're not support crew, 5Ks are tough, so go get them and don't pull a
I'll
hammy.
let you know how tough it is tomorrow. Okay, for a last one, I think it should be joint, and I'm just pitching this to you. You can veto it, but everyone's here, so that'd be awkward.
Okay.
I think it's like kind of to the Boston Marathon because it kind of brought us together as friends.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right.
And so,
I mean,
cheers
like
to
a
the Boston
proper,
Marathon.
like- Yeah.
Okay.
We do have Q&A. I'm gonna go with the first question, and this is gonna be just to the audience with raising hands. How many people got root beer? How many people got watermelon lime? Okay, you win.
Root beer is my flavor of choice, and she's trying to convince me it should be watermelon. Nah.
No.
I love my colas.
All right.
That was so amazing because she thought she was going to get a big cheer
I did.
there.
I was like, woo. All right, we have a mic that's gonna wander around if you guys want to raise hands, and we do ask that you ask the question into the mic because last time we got absolutely shredded for the audio
Yeah.
because
Help
people were
us
like, I don't want to
out.
use the mic.
Yeah.
So, any questions? Do we have questions?
We do have one on here.
Okay.
Hi. So first, I want to say 2 things and then a question. First is thank you, Kara, for all you've done for the sport, for standing up against the cheaters, the drug, and it takes people like you to do that. You know, where otherwise it becomes who has the best drugs, right? And the other thing is, years ago. I was at the Reggie with my son. You were racing there, and they would do an exhibition with the kids. We get to do relay. And we were backstage, you know, and you were warming up, and you took time to say hi to my son. And, you know, I think we see women in sport like you, and we think this is really good example for young girls. But it's not just young girls, it's also young boys, because young boys can grow up and see that girls can be strong and fit, and that's beautiful, you know. And so it's not just the young girls that you're inspirational for, it's also the young boys.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you were so gracious to come up to him, and it was just so nice. It was really...
Tell me more.
It was wonderful.
Thank
It was
you.
really, really good experience.
Thank you so much.
So my question is, so as you elite athletes, as you retire, you know the joy of the journey, you know, of the those days out there of working it hard, and it's not all about, you know, of course it really helps to win a race, right? But it's also that you know, the joy of the putting yourself out there, the pain and the discomfort you go through. Once you retire, Do you miss that? How do you find that again? What do you do for that?
Yeah, I miss it like crazy. I miss the grind. I miss the routine. I miss the monotony. I miss the flipping through my logbook and seeing the progression. I miss it so much, and there's really nothing that replaces that. You know, I get a lot of joy from calling races and being able to sort of live vicariously through other athletes, but I do miss that a lot, and I have a lot of physical limitations, so I can't really run the way I want to anymore. You know, joking aside, I think that's why I have loved this little challenge to try to run 1857, because it made me make a little bit of a schedule, and it made me do it, and I loved it. I mean, I'm so out of shape, and I have no speed, and it's so sad, but I have really enjoyed that, and I think it's like falling back into that. I do miss it. I miss it a ton. And I think that's one of the things I love about Des is that she's still doing it. She's still putting in all the work, and she knows she's not going to go run a PR. I mean, maybe in the 50K or some other distance, but she's still doing it, you know? And I respect that so much because she's still finding it within and redefining her success, you know? Like before, from 2007 till 2018, all she wanted was to win the Boston Marathon, but she's still training just as hard now. So I just really respect that.
Thanks, Kara.
Love you.
I love both of you. I'm absolutely starstruck by both of you. My question is to Des. Who's going to take River duck hunting?
I don't know if he'll get to ducks. We'll see. He's gonna learn. He just went to bird camp. I don't know, I put it on Instagram. So we dropped him off at the kennel, and he'll go to bird school for 1 month of training. I'm a little nervous for him because he's a sissy. And he's not very motivated. He just wants to cuddle. So we'll see if he comes back hardened and like a man. But I don't know if ducks will happen for him, but we'll take him upland pheasant hunting, and I usually just walk around with the camera and then someone else takes care of the actual hunting. But hopefully he likes it.
If Ryan posted some pictures,
Yeah.
and I showed him to Colt, he was like, he's like really going to camp.
Yeah.
Like, he is like really going to
Get a
camp.
little backpack.
So cute.
Okay, do you want me to read one from the screen? I have one that I want to ask you, Kara.
Oh, great.
Des aside, who are you most excited to see race on Monday?
I'm like just really like a Des Linden fangirl now.
I added that part.
It's true. You know, I'm excited to see O'Beary. We've talked about this on the pod. I think Helen O'Beary has a really good chance to become Olympic champion. And that's a lot of pressure, though, to stack good races and good performances back to back to back. So she won here last year, and then she won in New York. You know, her first marathon was New York 2 years prior, where she sort of faltered, and she had to kind of learn the event. So now to see her back here as this established favorite, I think that's going to be really interesting. What about you? If you weren't racing, or if you are, I mean, you are racing. But who are you excited to see?
I'm excited to see Evans Chibet because of the Olympic selection process. And much like O'Beary, who I'm also very fascinated, I hope she drops out, because then that means I beat one more person.
The Evans Chibet situation is fascinating.
Yeah, so Evans Chibet, Helen's at least on the short list. Chibet was left off completely, and he's just been lights out good.
Yeah, and
he's
he
won
won
here, right?
He's won the last 2 years. We know Paris is going to be hilly and tactical.
Right.
And he was cut from the list. So I feel like I agree.
I want to see a big statement from him.
Yes.
Just like, nope, you need to reevaluate that list, because then it's really fun to watch the selection, because they'll get it wrong.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah,
Facts.
Two things. Love the intro music. Can we get a hot take on the Olympic marathon, the Olympic uniform picks for the U.S.?
Go ahead. Look, this is hot take, quick hit, because this is a full episode. 100%,
This is a full episode.
100% going to
And
happen.
I don't know if you've
full
been following
episode.
Des, but she waded into the waters, and she's kind of there.
I have opinions.
She has opinions, and not necessarily what you'd think. I think that the uniform that was shown online is completely unrealistic. As a female athlete, you would be having to worry about so many other things other than your performance. to put it like politely. There are multiple uniforms, and I've also been told that that photo is a weird one, that it actually is like a normal speed suit, but the one that was shown, I believe, is a bit problematic. Des has some thoughts. Hers are a little different.
Okay, I'm someone who went off the main uniform. I think a lot of people think boy shorts or bun huggers, and you have all these options, and it was, I don't want to say it was difficult, it wasn't, but it was different to wear the boy shorts, the split shorts. I'm not going to ever make someone feel like what they're picking is wrong. If someone loves that uniform and that's the fit that they think is great, I'm not going to make them feel bad about picking that. And I feel like that's kind of started to happen. I want to see it. I want to see someone put it on. And then it's like, now you have options from here. Like you got hardwood floors to ankle length dreads. You can do whatever you want. There is a bottom for you and you'll be just fine. So there's choice. And I think taking a choice away is always the wrong thing to do. Do I like it? Am I going to wear it? No. Someone might, and I'm not going to make them feel bad about it. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't think that if someone wears it, they should be ashamed. If somebody wears it, I'm going to be like,
Good
damn,
for you.
She is amazing.
Every body is different.
100%.
If someone can make their body work in that suit and they feel best in that suit, I'm dead serious. Like, good on them. Like, that's amazing. And also, like, they're probably okay. So we talked about sports bras, right?
Yep.
Tight around the rib cage. Now we're going like, oh shoot, maybe this isn't the right. Okay, range of motion may be better there. I don't know. I have no clue. Like they've really there's a better flexibility. I don't know. I really haven't.
This is a whole
tried
pod.
Yeah, it's an episode. I'm just saying I'm not going to judge until 1, I see it on people.
Yes, true.
2, I hear feedback, and then we can have a conversation. Mm-hmm. That's my hot take. Any other questions? Or
Anybody else
on that?
on a hot take?
This is for Des. Since you mentioned you put your better rain jacket in 2018 in your checked bag, can you share with us which jacket that was since you wore the canopy in the race?
Yeah, I think it was, it would have been the wrong jacket to wear out there. It was just more water resistant. I think it would now be from the High Point collection. So it's a rain jacket. And the problem with those is you overheat, they get super clammy. So the canopy was perfect. It was the better fit. It was just pure luck that I happened to have it. So High Point at the finish, canopy at the start.
We can take one more question. Yeah. Okay.
Hey guys, Nate from Team Hoyt. All right, thanks. This is my favorite place to watch the marathon is on Heartbreak Hill. I think it's the most inspiring spot as a fan. Would you guys, after your racing days are over, ever come join us up on Heartbreak Hill for the full day to see all the runners go by, including all the charities in Wave 4?
100%.
Yeah, let's chat. Let's do that. It'd be incredible. You know, it's funny being on this side where I don't race anymore. And I was like talking to our friend Chris, who's here, and I'm like, well, where are we going to watch from? But I would love that. I think that would be an incredible experience. And maybe we could do it together. Yeah. Although I can't imagine Des not running Boston, but I'm not, so I can do it.
Eventually. It's going to happen eventually. So we'll go out to Heartbreak and
that'd
cheer
be great.
and have beers.
Yes. Okay, yeah, of course, naturally.
Love it. Okay, one more quick second to thank Koros tonight, and there's going to be a table out in the hall. Go visit it, and you can use coupon code NOBODYASKED. If you were to buy a watch, they're all amazing, and you get a free accessory if you use that code. Throw it in the cart, and just tell them thank you. We appreciate it.
One more thing. If you enjoyed your Olipop, one person's going to get a case of Olipop, and one person's going to get a Koros watch.
But
those are such good sound effects. But you are not eligible unless you leave an email address tonight. Is it with your poor husband?
There's an iPad out in the hallway, and it'll be set up near the Koros booth. We'll make sure you know where it's at exactly. It's a doc. Just put your email address in there, hit enter, and then you'll be in the the raffle, and we'll send out a follow-up with who the winners are, and just probably a thank you note to all of you for being here and spending your time with us this evening.
Thank you all so much.
Give them another round of applause. It's amazing. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to our virtual audience tonight. Thank you to Kara and Des. They'll be signing copies of Choosing to Run in the Longest Race in just a few minutes. Make sure they can get off the stage first. And if you want all the latest and exclusive ticket giveaways for all things happening here at WBUR CitySpace, sign up for our newsletter. Click on the QR code and add your email. Good luck, runners, this weekend and on Monday. Good luck, Des. Have a good night, everyone.